I'm going to start this video by saying this. I am not the biggest Lewis Hamilton fan in the world, and I'm fine to admitting that. I'm also fine to admitting that I'm a rather big Sebastian Vettel fan. I quite like his driving, quite like his sense of humour, so on and so forth, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about the stewards of Formula 1 and their questionable decisions at best. After qualifying for the British Grand Prix, as I'm recording this of yesterday, there was an incident right before the end when Romain Grosjean was coming up on his fastest lap, and he felt that Lewis Hamilton had impeded him on his final lap, costing him a few tenths. And the stewards even reported afterwards that he had indeed impeded Romain and that he'd slowed him down. However, Grosjean came out after the race, after qualifying even, and said that the only reason that they didn't offer a bigger penalty was because that, quote-unquote, Lewis Hamilton was a title challenger. And it's not the first time that the FIA have pulled a questionable steward choice over a championship fight. We all remember Baku, and I don't think anyone's going to forget that for a while. Most people say that Sebastian should have been disqualified from that race and even been offered a race ban. And to be honest, they have a point. A deliberate move in Formula 1 is something that should never be justified, and it should offer a big punishment. And the 10-second stop go that Sebastian did get in the race was one of the biggest penalties you could be given in a Grand Prix behind us. The last time a Formula 1 driver was actually disqualified for an incident in a Formula 1 race was this move by Takuma Sato on Yano Trulli in Japan 2005. As you can clearly see, it was not a pretty accident at all, and he was actually disqualified post-race. You could even look at it from the perspective that maybe Vettel deserved a one-race ban. Well, if you wanted to figure out when the last time that happened, well, I'd be surprised if you forgot if you're a modern Formula 1 fan, because it was that crash in Belgium 2012 with Romain Grosjean taking out about 4 or 5 cars, jumping over the top of Fernando Alonso and very narrowly missing his head. We need to remember how horrible that incident was. However, that was probably more to do with the fact that Romain Grosjean had multiple incidents at that point, and that one was the tipping point for the stewards that eventually they decided that they'd had enough and Grosjean needed some time to sit out. And that went well when he came back for Japan. I know he returned in Singapore, but Japan was another first corner incident, which he called a nutcase. But anyway. But yeah, the overall point of this is just the stewards are a little bit backwards when it comes to the penalty giving, because they can never seem to find consistency. They can never seem to find a point where they can fully agree, and I don't know, they just seem to have a massive bias either way. I'm not saying into one particular driver, even though as much as many people like to say, the FIA are such suck-ups to Ferrari, it's not the Federation International Automobile, it's the Ferrari International Automobile. You really need to stop with that meme, seriously. Stop it. Regardless, was the penalty that Vettel got in Baku fair? Debatable. Extremely debatable, because it's probably still going on to this day. Was either attitude of both Vettel and Hamilton acceptable for what they did? No. Vettel overreacted in the moment. Hamilton went on his usual post-race chatter, and even Vettel was avoiding questions left, right and centre. Let's not forget every single attitude he had after the Grand Prix. But I don't know. And also, did Hamilton deserve a penalty for impeding Grosjean in Silverstone? He cut it close, but if he genuinely impeded him and the stewards actually knew that he impeded Grosjean by a good few tenths, he deserves a penalty. It doesn't matter if you're a title contender or not. But my point is, with every single member of staff that the stewards bring to every Grand Prix, every single person within the FIA, I think everyone just needs to sit down just to say, look, these two are title contenders. They are still racing a Formula 1 car within Formula 1. You should not treat them differently because they're title contenders. A penalty for anything would make it more interesting and bring it closer together. So, I don't know. It's such a hard one to judge, but I think there's one thing that we can definitely all agree on. Stewards, get your act together. Please.
Look what you got.